Hey, 朋友好 welcome everybody. And my name is Qin Peng. And today I will interview the Professor Menas Kafatos. And 各位朋友好，我是彭启明。今天呢，我们要特别访问来自一位美国的贵宾哦，他是这个来自于美国加州Chapman 的大学的教授。那这个他过去呢，事实上在我们这个地球科学界是相当有名的，特别是量子物理哦。那他这次呢，主要是由这个中央研究院的院士李罗全院士邀请来台湾来进行访问，所以我特别请他花一点时间，希望可以跟台湾的朋友能够进行一个很好的一个互动。所以各位朋友呢，你待会你有问题也可以线上发问。那他的这个资料呢，就在这个上面哈。Menas Kafatos, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Peng. Good to meet you.
Yeah, Professor, you are from Greece.
I'm from Greece originally, yes.
Yeah, you got your degree in
I got my undergraduate degree at Cornell University, and then my doctoral degree, PhD, at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT.
Okay, so you got your PhD in MIT.
MIT, I got my PhD.
So your background, I see your resume, your background is quantum physics.
Quantum physics, astrophysics, and now also I'm doing a lot of earth science and climate change and environmental work.
所以我们 Professor 他是从这个希腊来的哦，他在美国受教育，他现在 Cornell， 然后在 MIT， 然后拿到博士。So when you got your degree in MIT, you went to the Washington D.C. to be a professor.
I went to, yes, I did 1 year of postdoctoral work at Colorado, University of Colorado.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I went 2 years. I did my postdoctoral work at NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, in Maryland, and then from there I moved to George Mason University. All of them.
George Mason
University. All of them are in the Washington D.C. metropolitan area. George Mason's in Virginia.
And in Virginia, in Washington D.C.
Right? Correct. Very near Washington D.C.
对 ，George Mason 在美国来说的话，在 D.C. 算是一个蛮好的一个大学哦。那 right now you are in Chapman.
Right now I'm at Chapman University in Orange County, California. Correct.
Okay. 他现在是在这个 Chapman， you bring all the team to Chapman, right? East Coast,
we brought 9 people from George Mason to Chapman University in 2008, and several people in bioinformatics. In fact, one of them is my wife, Susan Yang, and then several people in earth science and climate change, and 2 people in quantum theory, besides myself.
Okay, your background is quantum physics, but we should discuss climate change first.
Okay.
And it's not easy to understand from quantum physics to climate change to earth science, because quantum is physics. So it's not easy to understand. Maybe later on we can explain.
Later on we can explain why they're connected.
Quantum and quantum 量子物理其实跟那个佛家这个量周沙界一个小例子是很有关系的。So later on we can talk about the quantum physics and Buddhism.
Right.
Okay. So the first thing is, what's the difference? Because you have a seminar in National Central University.
Correct.
And everybody told me you should. They asked me to ask you. You tell everyone about what's the difference about the global change, climate change. Global warming.
Correct.
What's the difference?
So those 3 terms, global change, climate change, and global warming, are confused many times by the public. They think it's the same thing, but they are not really. Global change is the overall changes of the Earth. It can be because of climate. It can be because of asteroid hitting the Earth and causing mass extinctions. It can be because of changes of the environment, the continental drift over millions of years. All of these things are global change, means the entire Earth is changing. Climate change is specific, it has to do with the climate, which is really another way to put it, how the weather is affected. Although weather is really daily, climate is longer term. And then global warming is an even more specific phenomenon that has to do with the warming of the atmosphere of the Earth. Now, naturally, the Earth's atmosphere undergoes global warming because of the existence of the atmosphere. If it was not for the atmosphere, the Earth will be 30 degrees cooler on the average. And 30 degrees colder on the average means that the entire Earth would be frozen, a frozen planet. There would be no water, there would be only ice. There would be no life. So the fact that there is global warming is good for life. What we're talking about is runaway global warming, which has happened in the last 150 years. And that is our concern, and we believe that's actually due to anthropogenic or human influences, particularly the burning of hydrocarbons, fossil fuel, gasoline, petroleum. Coal is a big problem. So this is global warming. They're not the same, but again, people think, oh, they're the same. One is bigger phenomenon, global change. The other one is the climate, very specific, that has to do with patterns of weather. And global warming is really how the Earth's atmosphere is warm. And now we're talking specifically about the human aspect of global warming. So that's the explanation.
So one is bigger.
Bigger, more general.
More general.
Yeah, one is less general, right. But they are related, but they're not the same. Right.
OK， 他刚刚提到的是几个观念，就是global change 就是全球的这个变迁，那 climate change 是气候的变迁，然后 global warming 呢是全球暖化。其实这个是不一样层次的东西，但是它其实会互相的牵扯在一起哦，所以这个是一个非常特别的观念。那事实上很多人就会搞混在一起。So I'm wondering, you mentioned about the three is different but related.
Correct.
And did you why you want to say that? Is there any confusion? Everybody confused about that?
Yes, because people in general, even university students get confused. They think they're the same. And then we argue about a phenomenon which is not really the real phenomenon. We're arguing about something we should not be arguing. That's the reason why we need to be clear in terms of the usage of the terms, how we use the terms and the phenomena. That's really the only reason I'm saying that. Yeah.
Okay. Another question is about, I know you had ever joined the UMCCC, attend the COP. You attended COP 18?
15. Copenhagen, 2009.
2009.
Right.
So I'm wondering, what's your opinion about the Paris Agreement?
Well,
is it good? Is it just only to solve the little issues?
It's not bad. It's not going back steps, which is good, but it's not going forward too much either. It's really, at least it's positive because there has been an agreement of all the parties. COP is the convention of the parties, an agreement that there is a problem. So from that point of view, it's good. Okay, now we're all agreeing. Before, we're not even agreeing. There was an issue. Now we're saying, we're all agreeing there's a problem. Okay, that's good. The next question is, so what? What are you going to do with it? So that's, from that point of view, no, it didn't go very far. But of course, it didn't go backwards, so from that point of view, it's good. Yeah, so I would say more is needed, and unfortunately, the clock, the time is passing on. Click, click, click. So while the politicians are arguing and the nations are arguing among themselves, and the oil companies are trying to stop things and all of that, the Earth's climate is warming up. So, and that is an issue that it won't necessarily affect us as much, certainly not me as much because I'm getting old, but it will definitely affect the younger people, the future generations, people who are not even born yet. They're going to be affected more than the present people who are born on the Earth. So that is a problem. That is a problem because we have to solve this issue. And it's not just global warming, it's also the pollution of the oceans. It's a big issue. The extinction of the species. The threat of global war that's not gone away, has gotten even worse last year. I'm concerned about some of the things that are happening now in the world. Seems that countries are ready to fight. And so it's not just global warming, but certainly global warming is something that is going on and on and on and on. And unless we address that problem, it's not going to go away by itself. And so to say, I'm closing my eyes, there's no problem, the problem has gone away. You know, as they say, hide your head in the sand. That's not going to make the problem go away. It's just going to say, okay, I don't pretend the problem is not there, but the problem is there. So that's the issue.
OK， 所以他刚刚特别提到说，巴黎的协议哦，只是刚开始，但是事实上大家觉得可能还不够，可能需要很多的弄。那他刚刚特别用这个手表哦，这个滴滴答答滴滴答答，正在这个改变当中哦。所以这个其实后续还有很多做的事情哈。So I'm very curious about you are a scientist and I met some government official, the other party members, and they told me, oh, it's not easy because if you are a rich country, you will get the pressure from the different countries. Oh, I want money. money. So the agreement is not easy to ask more than around 200 countries promise the agreement. It's not easy.
It's not
so they will say, we are politicians and you are scientists. You should think it's a hard work to negotiate to make a deal.
It's true. It's true.
So they asked me to give to be a scientist to give them the pressure.
Right.
But you should not say, oh, it's wrong, right?
Well, we should say that it's positive. We should give a positive way to present it. We would say it's good that it happened, but we need to give it more. And it's not because we always say more, but to understand what has been achieved and what needs to be achieved, still needs to be achieved. And that's all I'm saying, that we have to be realistic. It's a very, very complex problem, and associated with it are other issues like the pollution of the atmosphere, the pollution of the oceans, the extinction of the species, the fact that deforestation is taking place has not gone away. We have wildfires, we have typhoons. Are they due to global warming? We're not sure, but certainly some things seem to be very suspicious. So all of this need to be explored by science. Unfortunately, even though I wish we could provide the answers now and tell what is going to happen, that's not how science works. Can't tell you exactly what's going to happen. And people who say, well, you know, you guys, your scientists don't agree with each other. And they say they think that's bad. My answer is, that's how science works. We don't agree. I mean, that's how you progress, to think that we're all agreeing the same way. Then we're doing politics. Then we're just being politicians. So no, I would say we argue because we don't have all the answers yet. But we need to continue. And what I keep telling the public, particularly young people, when I give talks about the environment and climate change, I tell people, the Earth is your home. Don't think you have another home. This is your home. Say, well, I have my home out there in Taipei City. I have my home. No, your home is the Earth. Taipei is on the Earth. I am from California. California is on the Earth. So to say that my home is somewhere here and I don't worry about what happens in Africa or what happens in Asia, happens in Siberia. The entire Earth is a global entity. And actually, I think the entire Earth is alive. You know, the whole Earth is an alive ecosystem. So because of that, we have to take care of our home. Sometimes I say it's like you're watching TV, and you're watching TV here, and the room back there is burning. It's called fire. Your bedroom has caught fire, but you're watching TV here. You say, oh, it's fine. You know, I'm just going to watch TV. I don't care that there's fire back there. Well, that's silly, right? I mean, if that's where the real situation, you're going to run out because your house is going to burn down, right? Say, my house is on fire. So it's a similar situation. So, well, you know, my home here is fine, you know. Maybe this is the problem of Taiwan, or this is the problem of China, or this is the problem of Africa, or let's say Brazil. It's not my problem. I would say, no, it's a global problem. So from that point of view, we have to address it as a global society.
OK， 他刚刚特别提到是说，这个其实我们不该说哦，台北是我的家，他住在这个加州，加州也是他的家。其实我们都有一个共同的家叫地球，哈。所以这个我们面对这个气候变迁呢，不应该那么狭隘的说我家你家，而是应该说用更广大的心胸来看这个面对气候变迁的问题，哈。你现在所看的是我们现在即时直播哦，现在在我彭启明博士。我们天气风险公司的这个办公室会议室里面呢，我特别访问到来自于美国的这个 Professor Menas Kafatos 的这教授哦，他是一个希腊人，然后他的是量子物理的专家，那他事实上这几年跨域非常广哦，其实他做的研究非常广，他昨天刚好到中央大学去，然后特别是讲了一个气候变迁跟灾害的这个整合性科学的一个议题哦，所以事实上他这次是由我们中央研究院的院士李罗全院士特别邀请来台湾哦，他刚从韩国过来哈。我待会的问题呢，就要继续从这个气候变迁的角度，所以例如说，科学跟这个政治哦，怎么样去做一个区分？我们科学怎么样跟协助到政治去做出这些更好的判断，而不是说政治做出了一个决定，让科学家就是觉得说你做的很可笑。So I'm wondering, I just explain to the audience. 你们有什么问题，也欢迎大家在 Facebook 直接可以回应。My questions is about in Taiwan, sometimes think we are scientists. We did not get involved with the politics. So sometimes when we make the carbon emissions, it will be determined by our government, our politicians. So I'm wondering, in U.S., such you are very high level, is there any connection between the scientist and the politician? Will they ask you something about that? Or you push them to do something? Well,
officially, of course, the U.S. government, the president, is advised by the National Academy of Sciences. As of course here in Taiwan, you have Academia Sinica, and I'm the guest of Academia Sinica. That's where Professor Luli guest these days of Academia Sinica. So the U.S. has its own Academy of Sciences, which provides expert opinion to the president and to the government of the U.S. But of course, that's just the academy. There's many more scientists than that, and quite often the government or politicians, you know, the U.S. Congress or let's say the Senate will ask opinion, or the local governments, the California state government will ask opinions from scientists. And many times they will disagree with the opinions of the scientists. So that's the nature of humans. We tend to disagree with each other many times. They're not the same aims. We scientists are after truth, whatever that is, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in terms of quantum theory, what is the truth. The politicians like answers that are black and white. They don't like middle road many times.
But science, sometimes we have middle.
But science, most of the time, in fact, is middle. Most of the time, science, you know, ask a question and we go like, I don't know. I don't know. And it's not that it's bad or that we are stupid. We don't know, and we say, well, sorry, I don't know. It's because this nature of reality is that way. So we have to make it clear, and that's the problem of the scientists. We as scientists have to make it clear to society in general, and society actually pays for science. Let's put it this way, whether it's private money from a university or government money or business money coming in, somebody's paying for science to be done. It's not done freely, right? So we have to answer back to the stakeholders, the people that are paying our bills or paying our salaries or paying our research, what we're finding. And we have to be honest, because if we don't know the answers, say, we don't know the answers. And that's the difference between science and politics or politicians. A scientist, most of the time, should say, I don't know. Give me time. It's not because we want more money and say, give me time, give me more, more, more. No, it's because it takes time to find certain truths. In politics, because politicians are tied to elections, to governments, to local governments, et cetera, they want black and white answers. You want, tell me what's going to happen. And the public wants black and white answers. So there is this mismatch, right? Mismatch. That's just the way it is. And we scientists, again, have to explain to the public. I believe we have to explain. We shouldn't take it for granted that the public understands what we're doing. We should say, this is what we're doing. This is not something that we're doing. This is something that we cannot do. So don't ask questions from us that don't have an answer, or we cannot give you an answer right now. And if we tell you we don't know, that's the honest truth. We don't know. So the problem with, and this is the original question in terms of global change, climate change, and global warming. The problem with the Earth as a system, I call it a system of systems. It's a system of systems. It's not just one system. It's composed of many different systems. The problem with the Earth, it's not the problem, it's just the way it is. It's reality. System of systems is that it's very difficult to study it. And therefore, to give yes and no answers, it is not easy. And yet, we have to keep trying. So what I tell people, the public, and particularly young people, is ask questions all the time. Ask questions. You may not have the answers, but ask questions. And if you don't like the answers, ask more questions. That's the way it is. You don't like the answers? Ask more, more, more. And that's a dialogue. That's what we call the dialogue.
So I'm wondering, did you think for the scientists should get involved to jump into the politicians? Is it good or not good?
It's good. I think we have to tell the politicians the truth. Now, the politicians may not like it. They may say, you know, we don't like what you're telling us. We're going to cut off your funding. Okay? Then that's too bad. Then we have to tell the public, well, this politician is cutting the funding because they don't like to know the truth. I mean, we have to be honest. Say, you know, we have to separate the politics from seeking the truth. But we have to talk to politicians because the politicians are elected by the people.
Yes.
And therefore, they're responsive to the people. If they're responsive to the people, then we have to tell them, like the National Academy of Sciences, we have to tell, or Academia Sinica, we have to tell the Taiwanese government or the US government what is going on, what we believe is going on right now. We don't know that's going to be tomorrow. And then if they say, well, how do you expect us to make policy with these unknowns? We tell them, you make policies all the time without knowing. Come on, you know, make policies all the time. What are you talking about? You think you know every time? There's deals being made by politicians and agreements and disagreements, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, we don't know where the election, how the particular election is going to take place. You know, we're going to have election in the United States in this November. I don't know how it's going to go. I have some idea, but I don't know exactly how it's going to go.
You know, this month we have elections.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked you these questions.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I remember I read one article from US. They mentioned in US, all of your senators, just maybe 2 have a background of the, and then you're a senator, you have 2 people.
Yeah, we have Congress, House Representatives, and Congress, yes.
The article mentioned just 2.
2 out of 100, 2 out of 100.
No, just 2 have the science background.
There's 100 senators, only 2 out of the 100 have science background. Yes, only 2%.
Even in US, it's very limited.
I would say particularly in the US. I don't know. I mean, in Europe, there's more scientists that are politicians. For example, at one point in the past, the Prime Minister of Greece was a professor.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, but that has not happened yet in the United States. And so,
OK，
yeah.
我刚刚特别，因为我们要选举哦，美国今年也要选举，所以我刚才特别问到说， 这个他们科学界跟政治的关系，基本上他特别提到说，其实科学界常常会有一些不确定性的问题，那个答案，那我们通常科学其实有些答案不是黑跟白，可是政治呢或是一般大众习惯就是黑跟白的关系，所以这个时候呢就很难要取得一个平衡点。那我刚才也特别问到说，科学界是不是要参与政治？其实这个是不一样的事情啦哈。但是在美国的这个体系里面，他们就有2位他们国会议员就有参众议院就有2位有科学的背景。那另外呢，欧洲比较多，所以欧洲有很多的已经是他们的总理啊，或是行政院长类似这样的，已经都有科学的背景。那在美国是比较少一点点因为毕竟还是政治，所以这个部分呢是要取得一个平衡点所以我们线上呢直播事实上已经有相当多的人提出一些问题我们现在大概有100个人线上即时看。We have more than 100 people live right now, and some people ask a question, so probably we can answer the question first.
Could we do it?
And one people, his name is Mr. Chen. From Malaysia.
Oh yeah.
From Malaysia.
Hi, Mr. Chen.
And he say for the tropical area, what's the impact for the global warming to the tropical area?
Actually, it's interesting. For tropical areas, it's going to be less
compared to
polar regions. The biggest impact will be in the northern and southern polar Antarctic regions, Arctic and Antarctic regions. There's going to be more obvious effects than in the tropics. However, even the tropics are going to be affected. Even the tropics will be affected. One of the effects will be the sea level rise. But yes, because the weather in the tropics is more or less constant. It's not stable, but it's more or less constant. You don't get typhoons along the equator. You have to go 10 degrees or north or south to start getting typhoons or hurricanes. It's not going to be affected so much, but because the entire Earth is going to be affected, and the tropics eventually are going to be affected. Yeah.
OK， 他说其实热带地区的影响没有像这个比较靠近极区的这么的大啦所以但是还是会有一些冲击，特别是海平面上升的这个问题，在这种热带的地区也是影响会很大。像马来西亚其实最近其实也遇到这个淹水的这个冲击其实暴雨情况也是很大，那个其实跟整个气候变迁或者是说我们认为应该是全球暖化造成的是有明显的一个关联度的所以谢谢这个马来西亚的这个朋友提出的一个问题。刚刚肖艾迪有提这个4大不调的问题，待会再问。那另外呢，我们待会就是一个北极没有冰的问题Another people ask about the Arctic without ice, because I know I just see the news from the UNFCCC protocol. They mentioned about Arctic. Last week, the Arctic meet the heat wave. The heat wave is definition of the WMO.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not really the heat over 35 degrees. It's a kind of the average. But right now, the Arctic is the temperature is about 0 to 2 degrees. The maxima right now is 2 degrees. But right now, actually, the average maybe is less than 35 degrees. But right now, it's 2 degrees. Degree is the ice cannot concentrate. So there were lots of new ice every year. So,
right.
I'm wondering what's the impact for the Arctic without ice?
It's not good.
Not good.
It is not good at all. The Arctic without ice, yes, it will make the Northwest Passage, so-called Northwest Passage, easier. There will be easier for ship lanes to pass, for maritime commerce to pass through the Arctic regions. Actually, that will cause problems. It's already causing problems between Russia, the United States, Canada, the regions that are around the polar regions, because everybody wants to have the polar regions. When it was ice, then everybody is more or less happy. You know, what can you do? But if you can start moving ship lanes through there, then it might become an international problem. And the last thing we do now is another problem of these nations fighting each other or disagreeing with each other. It's the last thing we need. The leaders of the world should sit down and talk rather than arguing all the time and pushing each other. So that is a problem, but that's on the political side. On the ecological side, it means perhaps the collapse of the polar ecosystems. So you may say, well, okay, what if the poor polar bears drown? Because that's what happens. The polar bears will drown. They can't survive without ice. Or they have to move to Siberia, or they have to move to Greenland, and it will change the ecosystem. But even perhaps more serious than that is that the lack of ice means that there will be less radiation reflected back into space, sunlight. So more radiation will be coming into the atmosphere, more global warming. You see, the ice acts as a mirror, sends the radiation back into space. If you take away the mirror, you have more radiation coming down. So that is a big problem because it will accelerate the warming. And another issue is it may affect the ocean currents of the Earth.
Yes.
That is a big problem. For example, the Gulf Stream that goes from the Gulf of Mexico to northern Europe, passing through the Atlantic Ocean. If the polar regions melt, if the ice melts, it may change the salinity, the content of the salt. And the salinity is important for the current that goes, that basically, it's called conveyor belt. Basically, the ocean currents are like a conveyor belt. They go like this. So it will affect the currents, may affect the currents such as the Gulf Stream. And if the Gulf Stream collapses, then it's a big problem for Northern Europe, or for most of Europe. It's a big problem for Canada. It's a big problem for Northeast United States. So, for example, these politicians in the United States that argue about whether global warming takes place or not, how would it be if all of a sudden we don't have the Gulf Stream? What would that do to the economy of the United States, or the New York City, or Boston, or Maine, or Labrador? Already Labrador is pretty cold. So these are issues that we don't know. So we have to say we don't really know. So we can't tell you this exactly what's going to happen. But one of the scenarios is that this conveyor belt will not be as good working, as well working as it is now.
Okay. And you talk about they are human beings, but what about the polar bear? So when people ask about what about the future of a polar bear? We should make a boat, Noah boat.
Yeah, we should. Well, I'm not sure about Noah boat, but we should. I think we should. And this is not discussed very much. Thank you for the question. I would say that we human beings, because we are the most advanced species on Earth, we have responsibility, like Noah, in ancient times, to save the species. Of course, polar bears are the cubs, the little babies of polar bears are cute. Everybody likes the polar bears. Of course, polar bears are very dangerous animals.
Yeah.
If you are there, they run very fast. And
everybody thinks it's very cute.
Very cute.
Actually, it's not true.
Then it's not. And the babies are cute because all the babies are cute. But the polar bear, mother polar bear, can kill you very fast. They run very fast. You can outrun a polar bear. If you run, you're a dead meat, as they say. Okay, the polar bears need to be protected the same way that the lions need to be protected, or the tigers need to be protected. Hunters are hunting a lion for pleasure, right? I don't think it's good, I don't think it's a good idea to just kill animals just for pleasure. So I'm not sure how we're going to save the polar bears, but I think it's our responsibility because we cause a lot of these problems. And even if we didn't cause the problems, because we are the most advanced species, we should take care of the environment and the species. And right now we have massive extinctions taking place on the Earth because of we have massive extinctions because of the global change, not because of necessarily climate change, but because of global change. So that is an issue that needs to be addressed, and I would say I thank you for the question again. It's we are in the middle right now of massive extinctions of species, perhaps more than has been seen for millions of years, and a lot of it is caused by humans. Not directly tied to global warming. A lot of it is tied to global warming, but not all of it, and in fact, maybe not even most of it tied to global warming. And this is an issue actually where I think everybody, all the politicians will agree, because no matter what your political belief is, as a human being, everybody likes a nice environment. We like green areas. We like to have air to breathe that is not polluted. We like water to drink that is not dangerous for us to drink. So we are all on the same page on that one. So I think we should really agree to do some things about saving the species. And not much attention is being paid to that. And I think we should pay more attention to that.
Okay, very interesting. 所以他刚刚特别提到的就是说，其实这个北极熊的问题不是只有一个全球暖化的问题，它还是需要这个特别的一个处理哦。其实这个包含的很广泛了，不是只有全球暖化的问题哦。那事实上这次呢，卡法托斯哦，他为什么会到台湾来？他刚好呢是我一个韩国的教授，高丽大学一个教授，他本身呢是韩国高丽大学的教授的一个，他们有一个气候变迁的一个学程哈。那他们针对气候变迁可以得到大学硕士博士的学位，所以我刚好这几年因为工作的关系跟他们认识，所以开始对他们有一些了解。他是这个他们韩国高丽大学，他们国家重点的大学。它的排名在全世界大概100多名哈，相当好的一个大学。他们这个特别起到了一个国际和平的一个教授哈，所以他刚好有这个机会，昨天到中大来，所以我待会呢就会来特别访问他，关于说这个气候变迁，我们到底还有什么可以去研究或是学习的地方？因为其实很多人对这个问题很关心，因为巴黎的协定呢，其实只是开始而已。后面还有很多全世界该做的事情，也更需要更多的人才来参与哈，所以欢迎大家的收看。我们现场呢大概已经有100位观众哈直播，那现在呢进进出出的已经有超过3000人。We have more than 3,000 people had watched this.
Oh, wow.
And I also tweeted on the Twitter.
So can we tweet it to mine?
Oh, I have a tweet to you. Retweet to you. Maybe later on. Okay. Another thing is I want to introduce. Your topic, you come to Taiwan and you have an official seminar yesterday in National Central University. Your topic is quite interesting. It's not easy to understand to the public. It's interdisciplinary science of hazard and climate change. I can explain. 这个就是一个整合性的科学哦。So it's not easy to understand your topics. What's the meaning?
What is the meaning of interdisciplinary science? It means that it's not just one field of science to study, like physics or chemistry or biology, but all of them combined together to give us a new knowledge system for the Earth. That's really what interdisciplinary means. It's a new way of doing science. And science is hard enough, as we were saying before, because you get a lot of I don't know answers. But it's also very challenging, and I think bringing together these different fields to reflect how the Earth perhaps operates or how the Earth is working is very crucial, and I would say that interdisciplinary science is the new science as we move forward. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm wondering, you are the also the expert professor from Korea, by Korea University.
Yeah.
Belong to the BK21 and the Eco Leader Education Committee.
Correct.
So I'm wondering, can you introduce the Korea University is the first university in Asia. They claim they have some kind of the course for the young student to get a climate change degree.
Right.
So because it's quite different compared to US?
Well, what I do there is give some seminars on basically the global education, if you like, or ways for the students, master's level and PhD students over there, to understand and maybe apply for internships. So they can go for 1 year or 3 months to a particular international organization and study science, and actually not just science, but also study the economics components and the energy components and the law aspects. So yeah, it's from that point of view, Korea University is very open-minded, and they're trying to bring in together their students in a global way to understand these global problems and address them in a global way. Yeah.
Now I'm wondering, for the young students, when they get the kind of the climate change degree or any kind of training, is it easy to find a job about the climate change in US?
It depends. It can be, you can work for a company sometimes. I think you will be more and more, as time goes on, this issue of, if you like, the adaptation will become very, very crucial, very important. And so there will be jobs in adaptation. Yeah, we maybe should enter there. We should maybe jobs in adaptation that will be available to young scientists that come out. Again, it has to do with training, how we train our young scientists. And when I say scientists, I mean it in a more general way than just physical science or biological science or mathematical science. I mean this interdisciplinary way of working together. Yeah.
OK， 他刚才其实特别提到说韩国他们的有一个气候变迁的相关的训练。事实上，这个关于气候变迁，因为这个全球暖化的议题越来越受到它的重视哦，所以其实气候变迁的议题也越来越重要。所以其实韩国很早就开始做，台湾其实现在也台大还有很多学校也在做起步。不过其实全世界很多地方都可以去学习的哈。那现在我刚才特别问到他的工作好不好找，其实目前来看的话，以前是没有这个工作的，但是现在随着这个气候变迁，这个工作可能会越来越多，大家越来越需要这样相关的一个背景哈。所以刚刚这个大家很多人提出了一些问题哦，也欢迎各位在这个脸书上面随时提出来。刚刚很多人提到说北极无冰啊，从马来西亚提出的。那我现在要回答那个肖艾迪他特别提出的4大步调，佛教的4大步调是否就是全球的气候变迁的结果了哈？我先从那个量子物理开始谈起哈。这个因为他的专长是量子物理，然后走到这个遥测，然后到这个地球的监测，然后到达气候变迁。So I'm wondering because your background, actually your initial background is quantum physics.
Right.
So probably can you explain to the public, general public, what is quantum? What is quantum physics?
Okay, quantum means it's a term from Latin. It means chunk. Chunk. Bit. A little bit of energy.
Chunk.
Bit of energy. Little packet of energy.
Yes.
That's what quantum means. Yeah, that's what quantum means. Quantum physics is the physics of studying atomic phenomena, quantum phenomena. Yeah. The micro world, as they call. Nanoscale or below nanoscale.
Below nanoscale.
Below nanoscale.
比奈米还要小的。
Right. Yeah.
So
that's
in our life, daily life, can you explain what kind of the quantum physics show up in our daily life?
So quantum physics is actually responsible for about 50% or more of the world's economy.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. phone.
Quantum. Why?
Works because of the microchips.
Microchips.
Yeah, it's all quantum phenomenon. Computers, nuclear power plants.
It's quantum physics.
It's all quantum physics. The sun. Without the sun, there would be no life. So it's more than 50%. But anyway, let's say 50% of the technology of the Earth is based on quantum physics. But we don't think of it that way. We say, oh, it's this phenomenon here. This is a cup. It's not quantum. It's a microscopic object. But actually, even photosynthesis is a quantum effect. Photosynthesis from this, the sun's radiation impact falling on leaves, it's a quantum process.
So that's why the reason you went to the National Central University, not go to the meteorology department. You went to our space science department.
Right.
Because lots of professors there study the quantum physics.
Well, I guess it came,
Related quantum physics.
It came a little bit like that, correct. Yes, it came down like that. So I've studied quantum physics, but now we're talking about quantum physics, the implications of quantum world view to life in general. And I would say quantum physics, even though everybody's afraid, oh, quantum physics, forget it, it's not for me. It's very relevant to your life, to everybody's life. The brain probably works because of quantum phenomenon. Biochemistry works because of quantum theory. Life works because of quantum theory. Computers, all of these microprocessors, the Nobel Prizes are given for quantum theory all the time. So it's very relevant. And now what we're trying to say is that not only it's relevant in terms of technology and understanding of science, but it's also relevant because the principles on which quantum theory is founded are relevant to everyday life. That's the point.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, I asked two young people, their background is not science. So what is quantum? 量子物理，你们有什么感觉？什么是量子物理？会不会很远？会不会很难懂？
一开始看到名词会觉得不知道那是什么东西，但是经过解释之后，觉得其实真的是蛮贴近生活的。等于是在融入在生活当中，你平常不晓得，现在一讲就解释得很清楚。
Okay, they say quantum physics is not easy. It's not easy to understand in Chinese, but after your explanation, it's very easy to understand.
Thank you.
Understand? The ladies.
A little.
Okay. So the next question is,
right.
What's the relationship between quantum physics and climate change or global warming? No, not easy.
Well,
Different
it definitely is a different scale, correct. I would say there's two connections. One connection is that these universal laws that I'm talking about apply at every level. They apply at the Earth level, they apply at the quantum level, they apply at the human scale. So there's these three laws. We can talk a little bit more about it. And then the second part is that in both cases, a human being is a central component. So from that point of view, they're related, even though the scale is different.
Okay, scale. And what's the relationship between the quantum physics and Buddhism? 我问佛教跟量子力学的关系。
So there is actually a connection is even more direct or close, more direct. Buddhism. Yeah, Buddhism and also some of the great systems of monistic systems of the East, particularly Vedanta, Shaivism, the Hindu systems, and Taoism, Tao, and Buddhism. But also Western philosophies. But let's leave the Western philosophies out because we're in the East right now. So I would say that in terms of what the connection is the role between the observer and the observed. And in Buddhism, that's a very central part. It has to do with really the relationship, the process. So in quantum physics, there are no solid objects. There's no solid object. There's only process. And in a way, Buddhism says the same thing. And Taoism says the same thing, the way, right? Tao means the way, the underlying reality. So in that sense, Buddhism talks about the mind. It's very central. Quantum theory talks about the mind is very central. So mind in Buddhism, mind in quantum theory, it's the same mind. That's why they're related, very closely related. Now, one, I would say, is more about the outer world out there. That's quantum physics, particularly the small part. The other is about the inner world, the observing yourself. But the act of observation is in both cases. You're observing out or you're observing in. So there's a direct relationship.
Okay. Another question is about in our Buddhism, sometimes we will think earth, water, fire, wind is an element for everything.
Right. Four elements or five elements.
Yeah. So, and sometimes we'll say, right now, the earth, water, fire, wind is not so stable.
Right.
Is it related to climate change?
Correct. It's related to climate change. Now, what does that have to do with quantum theory? Well, I remember that these terms, the fire, the water, etc., the elements, were coming from past times, from a long time ago. When they say elements, I think they don't really mean elements in the modern chemistry sense. They mean the quality of wetness, the quality of fire, the quality of air. Okay? That's what they mean by elements. So those certainly are part of the world around us. And the reason that there is a direct relationship there is because we experience, when I hold this cup, right, I experience hardness, right? So I experience the element earth, or the hardness, which is really characteristic of the earth. When I drink the tea from this cup, right, I drink it, I experience water. I experience the wetness element. If the tea is hot, it may burn me, then I experience fire. So the experience is very important, and quantum theory says experience is important. Observation is very important. Again, close to Buddhism.
Oh yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of Buddhism. So everyday life, we have lots of quantum physics.
Every day.
Every day.
All around you. You cannot avoid it.
所以好，那个其实每天生活当中就有很多量子物理哦。量子物理其实没有想象中那么复杂哦。各位不要想到说这个物理哦就让你头大，事实上量子物理在日常生活当中都有。那全球暖化呢，当然也有这个关系哈。我们现在访问到的是 Menas Kapatos 哦教授，他这次呢是应邀到台湾来访问哦。他在美国是相当有知名的一位教授，谈到非常多。那他其实专长非常的有意思哦，所以今天非常荣幸能够邀请他到这边来接受我们的访问，也谢谢呢现场有超过100位的朋友哦，跟我们一起欣赏，有超过 more than 3,000 people join.
Oh, okay.
Join.
Hello.
It's live online right now. I'm checking. More than 100 people. How many people? 125 people online to watch you.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you everyone. And do you have anything to say to the Taiwanese friend?
Thank you, Taiwanese people, for your hospitality, and I'm very happy to be here. And remember always who you are. Quite often I tell the most important question in life is, who am I? So keep asking that question, who are you? And you will find the answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Professor. Thank you.
Thank you.